This is Pastor Troy right here. Get ready for what we call something incredible. It's called the Best of Season 3. Our executive producer, Donna Korniski, has gone in the files. She's dug around, looked at your comments, and she's picked the best of Season 3 to throw back at you. So over the next few weeks, get ready. It's coming up right now. The first of, the second of, and a whole season of nothing but the best of Season 3. Get ready as that episode rolls now, and don't worry, we'll have new Season 4 episodes coming at you very soon. Be praying for us. We'll see you soon. I'm Pastor Troy. You've been on the dock. Now get ready for Season 3 Best of. You're with Pastor Troy right here on the doc.org, dropping episodes out of the clouds every Tuesday and Thursday. You may be on the interstate right now running along, and we are throwing this thing at you. We can catch your car. If you're sitting still, we can hit you. Gosh, even if you're in a vault, as long as you got Wi-Fi, we will get you. On the doc.org, again, Tuesday and Thursday, episodes coming at you, and this episode is going to run you down and get you. Get ready to have a conversation with us. We're around the cottonwood table, and we're all about conversations to propel your faith out of the shallows and into the deep. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, also on Google Play, which is now YouTube Music, Facebook, Roku, Rumble, Sermonette. You can find us on all those channels. We archive on YouTube. We also have archives on Spotify and iTunes and Sermonette. We'd love to have your conversation about the show. Go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is now they claim X. We're not changing that name till the 4th season. We can't afford the graphics. Twitter, X, Instagram, and Getter. Check out those 5 social media networks. We'd love to talk to you about things, information about this. If you got a desire to do or hear anything, or you want to give your own testimony, throw that in and we'll share that with the guests we have today and get you out there. Now, when you find us, don't hide it. Hit subscribe, like, notify, tell other people, hit the thumbs up on Rumble, hit the punch button. We get points. I don't know what the points do, but we get points. We need points. Give us points and then harass other people. Send them links. We want all the points. We want all the points because Donna is on camera today, but she's on video, but no audio, but no camera. Because we now have a 6 microphone set, but we don't have enough cameras. So the last time we had hashtag bring Donna back. We got her back, but you hear that deep voice? That deep voice has her camera today. Zach's got her camera over there.
My camera.
Zach, but in season 4, we're going to get 6 cameras. We got 6 mics
today, Zach.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. Subscribe, hit like, notify, tell other people about it, and then they'll give us enough money for those cameras. Yay. Help us out. Go to Patreon, download the Patreon app, look up On the Dock with Pastor Troy, and you can find out how to be a partner of the show. 4 levels of partnership, 3 levels of sponsorship. We'd love to have you on the team or a part of the focus of the team. Check that out. Get with us. We'd love to help. Also, we are promoting things for Silent, SLNT, silent.com. Go to their website, promo code OTD, and they have Faraday bag products so you can reclaim your right to privacy. They are listening. Zach, they are listening to everything. My phone is in this thing right here. You don't even have to do airplane mode, bud. You put this in here. They don't know. Google, nobody knows where I am. The Russians, nobody knows where I am right now.
How are they going to know what ads to send you, Troy?
That's how we got this. Wait till you hear this. Now, you're going to get the story now, how we got this. I'm going to tell you in a minute. Key fobs, your key fobs, Dodge Challenger 392, hottest car to be stolen right now on the market. They come up to your window. They clone your keys from outside your door, take your car. You put it in your key fob. They make a Faraday key fob bag. You stick it in or your Visa card in there, and nobody can copy your stuff. You're going through the airport. They make all kinds of wonderful, I'll put it up here. This nice picture. There you go. Faraday bag products, different things. Check those out. SLNT.com. Go to our landing page, /discount/OTD, and get your right to privacy. I'm going to tell you about this in just a minute. On the doc.org is our website. If you're thoroughly confused and you don't know what's going on, go there. All the links to everything. Platforms, SLNT are there, and you really confused. Donna is in charge of unconfusion on our set. Donna is our executive producer. You can email her at info@onthedoc.org, and she will help you out. I'm Pastor Troy, your incredible host. for episode 216 of our live episodes today. And I don't know what episode number this is with the best of, but 216, hon. This is my co-host, Mother Beth.
Great.
How you doing?
I don't think unconfusion is a word. But
Unconfusion? Well, you can make whatever you want these days. I mean, you can do whatever you want today.
do whatever you want.
Ask Google.
I don't think my microphone's working either.
Yeah, your microphone's back out again. We've got that deal going on. So we're in studio. We're getting ready to do a brand new series. Got Donna here. Donna, I forgot to put you up. Donna, here's your dressage.
Oh.
It's our lovely tech producer today. She's our producer for our show, but today she's also our director. So she's in full control today. So we're glad to have her here. We're doing a Taking It to the Street Spotlight. It's a super series from season 3. We've been spotlighting all kinds of organizations, ministries, programs across our area. And we decided to go a little deeper. We did a series that we threw at you called, it was a spotlight series on the organization of Restore. And Restore is out of Southern Illinois. They help develop foster families and children. And as we got in that story with Jordan Bird, we learned that this was a lot deeper issue than I knew. And as we were doing this, Donna says, ooh, I've got people. So our producer completely produced this show. So she's organized it, got them all together, got them in the studio. And we have with us from Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, we're going to be talking about today their program called Foster a Child. And we're going to be here in part 1 of this episode. We're going to do the spotlight where we give you the 10,000 foot overview. We're going to look at the ethos of why they're doing. And we've got in studio the best picture we've ever had for a studio guest. Right here, we have Miss Hannah Nelson. And welcome to On the Dock.
Hello.
Child
Thank you for
Welfare
having me.
Resource Supervisor.
Yep, that's me.
What does all that do? I mean, that's a lot of child. You're a child.
yes.
You're not a child. You're a grown person. But you're welfare. But Child Welfare Resource Supervisor. What does that do?
Right. So that's kind of the longer name.
You got a short one?
We do. We usually go by licensing supervisor,
There
and
you go.
we are from the licensing department. I'm saying we, like myself and other people in
Other
the
people do
department. What we do is try to license foster homes. So
Very cool.
we do work with the relatives who have children in their homes, and they are able to become licensed. But we also license traditional foster homes, which is where we do recruitment out in the community.
So
to
you're
find
doing
people.
bigger homes, bigger organized things, and then individual traditional homes. Is that what you call that? A smaller home, like me and Beth. If we wanted to be foster kids, that would be more of a.
That would be traditional.
Traditional.
So a relative home is when a relative, like say your
A family
niece
member, a
was
cousin, uncle, aunt.
yes.
So
Right.
And so you can have a child placed in your home without being licensed, but then once a child is placed in your home, you have the opportunity to become licensed. And there are some benefits that go along with that, but the real intention behind that is to make the relative homes safer because you have to comply with certain
Absolutely.
standards.
Right.
Well, we'll get into that really good. I'm going to go across the studio to Studio B. Zachary Sims. It says here, case aid assistant. What does that do?
That means I'm the grunt. I'm the boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. I like boots on the ground.
So
I'm a boot kind of guy.
It's an entry level position, and I work directly with the children and families, mostly supervising visits. So I am planning to go back to school and work as a caseworker later on, but
Very
right
cool.
now I'm doing a lot of transportation, a lot of observation, and then just reporting to the people that are hired.
Now, if somebody wants to know why is Zach on the couch? When we got his press photo from his core press team, it was on a couch. A beautiful. See that couch there? If anybody on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, or Getter, or Twitter, formerly known now X, if you could tell us where that picture was taken, and you're not related to me, you're not related to me or any of my family. If you can tell me where that picture was taken and you send it to Donna,
She'll send you a mug.
she's going to send you an on the dock right here coffee mug. Okay.
I vote that Zach is the king of the couch.
We
today.
get this primp picture and his the note under his press photo was must have couch. So we had to build out a whole new studio for him. So
Wheels pop out of this. I'm just gonna drive it.
yeah. So Zach, welcome to have you. If they ever like give you some lag time or something, we could use you as a season 4 narrator in here with your voice. Fantastic. All right.
great
Now we're gonna go. I skipped her on purpose, but back in the corner here, she's like a quiet mouse back here. But she's got a head on her. We have had such a great conversation while everybody's getting coffee, and just I think she's got a lot to say. I can't wait to hear it. Is Rosemary Nelson. Now these Nelsons are related here. We'll get to that later. But it says clinical screener, Northern Illinois University Psychology Department, DCFS. Tell us what that is.
So what I have worked in child welfare for over 20 years, but what I do now as a clinical screener, when families are involved with DCFS, I am one of the first contacts that they have with, what this looks like, what do I need to do to get my children back. So what I do assessments. I interview every member of the family, the parents. I interview the foster parent, where the child is placed, and I do assessments on the children, like, children under 5. We do developmental assessments to see if they have any developmental problems or emotional problems, so we can refer them to services. And so it is an in-depth assessment of the whole family.
But you're doing the what is the work terminology when you talk about the foster child themselves? Do you call them a client? Do you call them what's the proper language in your?
We call them a foster child or a
foster-
youth in care.
Yeah.
Youth in care.
Youth
A youth
in
in care.
care.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the youth in care, you're going to look at the youth in care as well,
Yes.
but you're also going to look at the parents or the family
Yes.
situation that,
Oh, yeah.
that was behind that.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you looking also at where they're going to be placed? Are you going to give recommendations on the kind of family you have to choose or the kind of situation?
See, by the time I get the case, the children are already placed.
They're already
They
placed.
are either placed in with traditional foster home, in a traditional foster home,
Mm-hmm.
or with a family. That doesn't mean that, let's say that I go into a home and I feel that is not really a good fit for the child. I can address that and I can put that as a recommendation. So after I do all this
But
interview,
sometimes you're coming in after they've already had to pull a child out
yes,
and backfill a little
yes.
bit. Will that determine? We'll get deeper into this. Will that determine a little bit of the strategy to work toward a reunification, if that's the goal, or whatever else needs to be remediated?
This is what we draw. The report that I write, because after all these interviews, I write a report. The report goes to the caseworker.
Do you use red pencil? I have child trauma from my English teacher. She used a lot of red pencil. On Zachary. You use red pencil. No.
This all comes back to
It all
childhood
come
trauma.
back. Yeah.
Full circle.
I'm telling you.
My report sometimes, of course, is not as pleasant or agreeable for the person to read, but it is a very important document. It is filed with the court, and all the recommendations that I make, it's what's going to drive the service plan for the family.
And so that's going to create an action plan custom
Yeah.
to that child.
yeah.
And then they're
Custom to the family.
custom
part.
to the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
family. That's
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
we'll come back to that in a minute because that's really
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
fantastic. So we got all you guys here. What we want to do in this first episode is try to get a foster child program. Is great. I'm going to throw this slide up and leave it up a little bit. You can, if you're at home, you can use the QR code. Don't use your QR code in your car while you're moving with your phone. It's just bad. Wait till you stop. But that you can go to their page there, and there's good details on how you can take a look at this, how you can make a difference, how you can be a foster parent, things that they need, who this is appropriate for. Good resources on that page and contacts. And do you know where the email I got at the bottom was fosterchild@lssi.org. That was an email. I'm assuming that goes to information base and somebody could respond to that.
Yes.
Is there a better way for people in this area? Is it better that they go through that number, or do you have a preference?
That email is actually a very good email to go through. All of the licensing supervisors take turn monitoring it and then sending it out to the agencies.
Now, I looked at the numbers. I'm going to come back and give details to this, but I saw you guys have thousands of cases in the state of Illinois. It said one of the reports said 12 different sites, 42 different counties, serving 2,645 foster kids this last year. That's not the total number. That's last year.
Right.
So do you not sleep, Rosemary? Do you just stay up all the time like Batman and wander around and do
She
reports?
works a lot. Sometimes I'm like, hey, are you ever going to stop? And
Are there
she's in her
more of
room.
you? Are there more of you?
So, there are more of me.
So you
there
you
are
have a minion, a whole bunch of you?
There are several teams, teams for the southern part of Illinois, teams for the central part of Illinois, and for the northern part of
But if there's
Illinois.
2,645 children, some of those will be brothers, sisters. I guess it'll be multiples. But that's a lot of reports that got to be written this year.
That's a lot of reports.
And I'm assuming there's a follow-up process too. So there'll be follow-up reports and process
So
reports.
once we have done our part, unfortunately, or fortunately at this point, of course we have the next one to go to, but then comes into play what the caseworkers, what the license,
and it will move into their lap, and they'll begin to manage
that
the
is
cases.
their lab, yeah.
Wow.
Which is a very broad lab.
Give me a clue. I'm just riffing right now. How many of these cases will a case manager then end up managing kind of in their portfolio?
So I was a caseworker a long time ago, and that is one of the most stressful parts
Oh,
of
that it
being
is.
one, because you are you are supposed to not have more than, I thought that was maybe 10 or 12 cases, but I do not.
No, I'm just saying, don't people normally have more like
Oh, yeah.
more like
20,
20.
30?
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what I'm
given
saying.
these numbers, it would have to be.
Yeah, you are not supposed to have, but there is no other way. The
You're not
case-
supposed to
yeah.
get a root canal, but you have to
Right,
sometimes.
exactly.
But for you, once you get one and file the reports, then you move on to the next.
Yes,
So
that's
you're not
I'm
continuing
not
to-
managing the case. The
Right.
management of the case comes from the agencies. In this case, LSSI, DCFS,
Right.
Caritas. We have in our area. We used to. What else do we have? I think.
There's a Lutheran Children and Family Services as well.
Yes, but they are not here.
When I was in the Methodist, I was a Methodist pastor for 20 years. We worked a lot with Lutheran Family and Children's Services.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
cool.
and it
Yeah.
varies by position. So I usually only have 6 to 9 different cases that I'm working on because I need to spend 2 to 4 hours with each of these families each week.
So does a case begin when Rosemary finishes her report and gets transferred to somebody through the courts? Is that how it gets initiated? Or are you already in there in their initial placement as well?
The case begins with a report that goes to DCFS, but I think Hannah and Rosemary can speak more clearly to that.
Yeah. Let's just follow a child. You get who calls you? Where does the call? Is there a bat
Someone
light?
calls, there's a hotline. So you
Police officer,
a police
family,
officer can call a hotline. Anybody can call the
Anybody
hotline.
can
Okay,
call
a
hotline.
call's
and make a
initiated.
report. Yeah.
and that call goes where? To you guys or to some state of DCFS?
Okay, anybody can call a hotline except that there are some mandated reporters. For instance,
course, a pastor.
Teachers, but
Pastor.
and I'm glad to hear that you are a mandated
Of course I'm a
reporter.
mandated reporter.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's excellent.
there is a big.
Pastors are, and we are.
Yeah,
I have.
yeah. So doctors, of course, nurses, teachers, they are mandated reporters. But if I am not a mandated reporter and I see something that's concerning, I can call the CFS hotline, and that's how the cases are generated. They are going to hear that call, and there is kind of a triage to see,
starts.
and then that's where it starts. And then there is the investigation. If they seem like, okay, we have to investigate. So they go to the house, and that's the process begins, with the investigation period. If the investigator goes to the house, which investigators also have that job is very hard.
That'd be very hard.
Are
Very-
investigators
Usually
just with the DCFS,
DCFS,
or
yes.
are they also police officers?
no.
No.
just
This
the
is the
DCFS.
CFS has the mandate to do that kind of investigation for child welfare. So they go, and then they see, they have to meet certain criteria of not being, if the child's not safe, then they are removed from that home.
There can be a quicker action for the safety of the child.
Yes.
A doctor, or medical people, or
Yeah.
somebody thinks, or a police officer, this is not a safe situation.
So once the child is removed from home, then, some cases go to DCFS. It all depends on the availability, or they call one of the agencies and say, hey, you have this new case, and the case is directed to a case
And that would be
worker.
back in that region, probably,
Yes.
most likely back in. So if they're from Marion, it would be somewhere in our area.
Yes.
You
Yes.
guys typically work in our area.
Yeah.
From about Salem down to Caro is
Yeah.
what I've
This
had
area.
to deal with so
So,
far.
so the child gets in there. There's going to be an assessment. Where do you come in and begin to do your first one?
So by the time I get the case has already an assigned caseworker, and ideally the case, the children is already having visits with the parents. Although they were removed, the process of visitation starts right away.
Okay.
So once I get the case, they already have a caseworker. They already are working with the agency. The case, so the licensing department comes in when the case is assigned to the agency because they have the homes.
So that's how. So you're going to either place them in one of your relative homes. I guess if they go to a relative home, is a relative just automatically cleared, or is there some back work that needs to be done to get them properly?
So relatives have to pass a certain background check, and so that's another thing that the licensing department does is we have all relatives have to get their fingerprints done, and then they have to go through like a thorough background check.
So define a relative for us. Give me the extent of what a relative would be. Like is aunts, uncles? Does it go farther than that?
It goes farther than that. I mean, it can be, so there's a relative, but then there's also fictive kin, which is an option. And so a relative is anyone that we would normally by blood consider someone a relative, like
Right.
uncle, aunt, a different parent, you know, brothers, sisters if they're old enough, that kind of thing, cousins. But if there's a person that just has a strong connection to the child or the family,
You guys would
they
look
can
at that.
also be
You
placed
would
there,
look at
like
that.
coaches.
Coaches, yeah.
And
Somebody that's
teachers,
an
things
you
like
know,
that.
you see them as a more natural advocate or something like that. A pastor and a pastor's wife that's been around the child for a long
Exactly.
time. Somebody.
Yep.
So how do you find that? I mean, how do you discover who's available to take the kids?
So
Do
the
you-
caseworker does a lot of that in the beginning, and the parents of the children also name.
They tell you.
Yes, they
Okay.
name.
They
And
say,
then,
can they go to my aunts or go to my sisters? Or,
exactly.
Okay.
Or we've got so and so.
Yes.
And so you're going to come in and do some evaluation. Now, if they don't have something fit, that's where you're going to start looking at other models.
Yes.
What are some of those other options that you're?
So the other options, that's when we start looking to place them in a traditional foster home. And that's when we start to run into roadblocks because we do not have that many traditional foster homes.
And you have to have those pre-approved. Largely, foster
Yes.
families have gone through a process. That could,
Yes.
And I think when we had, if you go watch our episode with Restore, they said 3 to 6 month process. It's an extensive, so it is for you as well.
Yes.
Very
And that's if everything is like goes well. Because sometimes things can get caught up in the background.
It's not a
and
quick
takes
decision.
long
It
time.
probably shouldn't
Right.
be a quick decision either. Don't you agree, Zach? Don't you agree, Beth?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, people are passionate about it. You want them to get past the newness of that. So you're going to do something pretty thorough. Going to really look to them. Is somebody going to talk to them? Are they going to have a social worker, somebody talk to them? I mean, if you go today and you try to go get like diet surgery on your body, they want you to see somebody to say, are you coherent?
So during the licensing process, yeah. So part of the licensing process is people actually have to go and get physicals.
Physicals?
That's one part of it to make sure that they're physically fit and that there's nothing, you know, big going on health-wise that would
Right.
prevent them from caring for
Because
children.
you'd be putting a child into another difficult situation. You don't want to do that here.
Right. But
Well, I mean, we all have issues where family has to have stuff, but you're taking a child from one situation to it. You want to make sure there's good stability.
Exactly.
Right there. Okay. It's not that somebody can't have surgery. It's just they're
No.
looking to make sure they're bringing immediate calm to a storm.
right.
And that, goes
Sorry about
to,
that.
that in terms of the child's age and what the child needs. For instance, if you're going to place a 15-year-old child, their needs for let's say that the parent has some health issues, that might not be a huge problem.
Compared if it was an infant or child or
Right,
something, where they had to carry a child a lot or
Yeah.
something like that. So you're looking at all that.
Right. But beyond that, there's something that we call the home study, and it's an in-depth questionnaire basically, and your licensing worker sits with you and asks you a series of questions about like your upbringing, past traumas, and really gets to know the family and their background. And there have been times when I've been doing that with a family, and along the way I've been like, you know what, this wouldn't be a good fit for our agency, and I don't feel comfortable moving forward.
So if I say my motivation for being a foster parent is I want to fix this generation, I'm going to get me a new one. I'm going to teach them no wire hangers in this house.
Right.
That's a yellow light. We're not immediately going to say no. I don't think.
We're going to take a
We're in
look
need.
at that.
We're going to take a look.
We're
and
taking a
slow
look
down,
at
yeah.
that one. Right.
They're also required to do a pretty extensive regimen of trainings as well for the
To prepare for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is not when Beth and I had our kids, when we have our grandkids now, we kind of grow into that. You kind of work through it. We have 4 of our own, and you get better. You get better at some things, and some things they start helping you. So it gets a little easier. But when you get a child like this coming in out of a trauma, they're not just a new child in a home. They're a child in a home that's coming with some issues, not necessarily their fault at all, because they're just the child. But they need a calm.
And they're at risk. I
And they're at risk.
They're beyond
And they're
risk. They're
affected.
actually in a bad situation already.
And you got to have some understanding. So you're helping prepare people for the traumatic issues.
Exactly, yeah. And like Zach said, we have trainings that all foster parents are required to do. Well, traditional foster parents and then relative foster parents that decide that they want to be licensed, then they also partake in training.
Because they could have come out of violent situations, they could have come out of drug.
Exactly.
So somebody's attitude and how their family handles situations will really affect whether that child will begin to calm down. And just from a background, we talked about this in a little bit in the Restore series. We talked about how long it takes the nerves and the soul and the mind to heal after being traumatized. If you're a child and you were born into this and you've lived like this for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, nerve regeneration itself takes months and even it can take a year to recondition. So if somebody's coming out of this and they're going into another traumatic home where they've got their own traumas and they're not handling them or not aware of those, they can actually enhance the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Worse. The child begins to
Yeah.
think, I'm just being passed around.
Oh yeah.
And a
It's
lot of
very
times
difficult. Yeah.
Go ahead.
people expect a very high level of behavior from these kids. I've noticed and heard a lot of anecdotes
Yes.
about, and a lot of times these kids are not ready to perform socially normative behaviors because they're not coming from that setting.
Well, they haven't seen it. They haven't witnessed it. They haven't known it. And we talked about this pre-show. We're just talking about the whole issue that, and we talked about this a lot in the store episode as well. We want to say, well, those kids are a product of those families. And those families are a product of those communities that they were raised in.
Right.
And they're just picking up issues that were transferred to them counseling wise. It was transferred onto them. And this, and kids, I don't mean they're a blank slate when they're grown, but they learn what they've been showed and exposed to. So we blame the kids, but there's no kid wanting to go into a foster care program in the middle of the night. There's no kid that desires to be moved around and have a bad home. There's no kid that wants to do that or even be raised in a feral way in which they can push back because they just want to defend what little they have, their own self. So that takes a lot of understanding and teaching and training to help. Maybe parents have had more of a traditional raised children and their children were just raised normal. Let's say normal. There's nothing normal today. So they were raised normally in their mindset. This isn't normal, but it's not the child's fault. So they're not going to re-paradigm that child to be their birth child in 27 hours.
Right. And that's where we run into a lot of conflict.
Fix them instantly.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to truly prepare people for what they're going to embark on as much as we try, because I think there is a little bit of this idea, or like there's kind of a fantasy that goes on, like we're taking in this child and we're going to fix all of their woes and they're just going to be grateful and kind of fall in line. And it takes a long time for a child to feel, secure in a home. And before they can feel secure in a home, usually like the foster parent is like, I'm at my wit's end. You have to move this child.
See, I think adults today understand better than when I was growing up, and I'm 58 now, so they understand the concept of PTSD. And so we go, oh, so-and-so's got PTSD. Let's get them a dog, and they can pet it, and they can walk around with it, and they're going to be calm, and they deserve this. They've been shocked by life. We need to understand children can come as early as a very newborn and already have PTSD, correct?
Oh, yeah.
You can
definitely.
already see this
Already, yeah.
deeply involved. And this is when a child is developing their neurological, their sociological, their psychological. So the PTSD that you can see in one of your younger people can be more acute than ever. And so it really requires incredible care. And
But I would imagine a lot of adults also feel ill-equipped to deal with that, and I think that's probably part of the issue too. Maybe if they don't blame the child for it, they just feel like they aren't.
That's
It
a-
really is. It
That's
really
a very
is.
good point. I think one of many issues that also happen is most of our children, when they are separated from their parents, there's this belief, we are taking them from this bad situation, and we don't take in consideration that we are also adding to their trauma. We are
Yes.
separating them from all that they've known,
Right.
and the parents might not be making decisions that were safe for the child, but they still have some degree of love and attachment.
Yes, right.
So when a child is taken from their parents and put in this home, there's a lot of grief that's going on with the child, and sometimes they are not given time to process that. They are expected to just blend in with the family that's already there, that has a
Right.
different background, and act in a certain way, which those are the difficult things about foster parenting. But there is, I think, the agency does a wonderful job in trying to train and prepare the parents for that. It is not. I think it is important to be aware of what you are going to face and what it is that trauma has caused. At the same time, I think there is. For those that believe in doing that, there's great joy. I have seen many people that have dedicated a lot to foster parenting and are very happy. Are very
That's
happy
amazing.
doing that. So.
And Troy, I just want to say that I'm very happy. It's refreshing to hear that you have this trauma-informed approach to talking about some of this,
Absolutely.
talking about how this is passed on from communities through families
Absolutely.
to individuals, and talking about PTSD, because these situations, when they're not on paper, when they're in your face, like, it's painful, it's scary, the kids are out of control, and we're afraid of what will happen to them if they stay, if they go, what's going to go on with this kid, and it brings up a lot of emotions for everybody. So people are at a 9 or a 10 before the kid has a behavior that's hard to deal with.
That's right. And the people are nervous coming in. A new parent's nervous. Then you get a new child that you know is going to be. You've already prepared them. So there's a defensive mechanism in an adult. Don't you think kids have a defensive mechanism? They have a survival instinct.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these kids, when you go pick them up on their worst night, when you guys go on their worst night, it's their worst night for all of us. They may have had a lot of worst nights. And, you know, this is just the culmination of the work. Finally, somebody noticed, you know, and next thing you know, you're not going to unpack this in a night or even a couple nights. It's going to take
Right.
weeks. What is a time frame that you tell parents when they take a child in? You're going to need this time to kind of breathe and learn each other's rhythm and decompress a bit. Do you give some recommendation on kind of be gentle and let's kind of creep a little bit? And,
Right.
Yeah.
Give them 20 to life.
Right. I've never really thought of like a specific timeline because every child would be so different and every
Right.
situation would
Everything.
be so different. But we do generally say, you know, at least for the first couple of weeks to try to keep things low key. Like even going out a lot, like going to movies and going to
Back
dinners or
down the
whatever, like that
stimulation
can
a
be
little bit
a
and
lot.
just let them rest.
Yeah.
But you know, let me just throw this out from sociology, and I know you work in the psychology area. The stimulation of the mind is a powerful thing, and what you're stimulated with during wake can go on during sleep and goes into your REM sleep, what you dream about. And if you watch something keyed up, you might have keyed up dreams. Maybe they're not related, but the mind is certainly stimulated. When we have our children, our infant children, we put them in quiet places, and we cuddle them, and we tell them they're loved, and we talk smoothly to them. We put them in a private room, and we put a little wave machine, and so they don't hear all what's going on, and because their central nervous system is developing, they're looking at live noises and all this. We will. Our granddaughter, we just watched her grow up. And she's 2 now. She's just like, boom, what happened? I don't know. But you know, I remember when she's like laying on my head and her head wouldn't hold up. You know, her eyes were messed up. You know, she couldn't. You know, she did. You know how they do that. And she didn't have that developed. But now at 2, she'd come over to smack Grandpa and just climb up on him and say, "I want your soda." You know, she is ready to go. But that took time.
Exactly.
I would think any child, I don't care if they're a 15-year-old, they need 3, 4, 5, 6 months a year to kind of get their nerves back in check. And so as we're patient with a baby that's drooling or messing or not paying attention or needs quiet, you got to get people that understand patience is needed on both parts.
And
Oh,
a society
definitely.
needs time, and
Yeah.
people need time, because children have had very few rights throughout history.
Very few.
And what we're seeing now, you're talking about like the 10,000-foot view. What we do from day to day is like a complex community approach to addressing trauma that's been visited upon generations of people.
Right.
So it's really complicated. It's really personal. It's also very bureaucratic, and it's active at every level. And it takes a whole community of people to do this. And we need a lot of support.
Do you
to take
think
care
some of
these
the
kids.
problem that heightens it is the parents right off the bat think, well, it's personal. The child's not respecting me, or
Absolutely.
I'm anxiety, and the child thinks, well, here I go again. So when we say calm down, we're saying calm down just so everybody can breathe. It's like, hey, everybody take a breath.
Something I tell people a lot is that when you get a child in your home and they are having these kind of big responses to, you know, things that might seem simple, like a bedtime, which can be a huge deal, or, you know, like, we don't do this in this house, or that kind of thing. They're having a big reaction. And sometimes they're just trying to find out what the real rules are in the house.
Because they may have never had rules. They may have put themselves
Yeah.
to bed. Mom goes to work every night, leaves them all night. Nobody checks on them.
Exactly.
They had no rules. We didn't know there were rules.
Yes.
Your kids go to bed. Wow, you go to bed? What do you do? I mean, you don't go up and stay and watch, you know, the late night show. You know, no,
Right.
we have a lullaby. It's 2 different worlds. Both are kind of normal for where they came from, but now there's a new household.
Well,
a new
and
dynamic.
children whether they're aware of it or not, they like to have boundaries because
do.
you know that you're
Yes.
safe if you have some
But if
boundaries.
you've not had boundaries, then you will become more feral because you're going to try to preserve yourself.
and if
Exactly.
you've had
Yeah.
boundaries that are too harsh and too strict,
You're
then
going to
you're
push
always
back.
in a state of rebellion. So
because you're trying to define your own self.
exactly. So as the caregiver, it's hard to find that space of
Right.
holding the boundaries in a way that's firm
And
and,
you can be the-
gentle. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be the best parent in the world. Trust us, we're one of them.
me too.
And you can get your kids to teenager, and they will keep pushing you, and they will push you because part of what adulthood is learning. Am I an adult yet? No, you're not. Am I an adult yet? No, I'm not. Am I adult yet? Yeah, you're adult now. Let me have the keys to those car. You know, am I adult yet? Yeah, you're going to college. Am I adult yet? Yeah, you're going to need to get a job.
Well, and a lot of these
know,
kids
you
that
learn.
are coming, especially from neglect situations, have been parentified and have been doing
They've been-
very adult-like experiences
Absolutely.
and have been robbed of their childhood. in a
You
lot
can
of
have
Yes.
small children,
That's
6,
true.
7-year-old, have been raising their little infant
Oh, yeah.
brothers and
Right.
sisters,
Right.
and doing a good job, given what they know. But they're not supposed to be doing that.
No.
So now you're going to try to tell them how, and they're like, "Well, I've raised a kid too." You can have a foster child that's a 7, 8-year-old that's got a baby brother, and looks at another mom that's got 8 and says, "Well, I've got an 8-year-old too."
That's survival. It's
That's
not
survival.
development.
It's
Yeah.
not personal. They're not really rejecting you. They just have nothing else to put it against. And so I just think one of the things I've learned is this is very dynamic, and it requires like a lot of slow breathing.
Yeah.
Do you teach Lamaze to your foster parents? Lamaze, like
That's
breathe
a good
in,
idea.
breathe out.
I don't, but I should.
Yeah, we need something like that. Okay, let's back up because we're doing the 10,000 foot, and we'll get deeper here in a minute in the next episode. LSI has 157 years of doing this mission. You started in the Northwest Illinois area as a home for children, and that's been your tradition. The cholera epidemic, it says, is what got you guys kicked off. So
Yep.
it was a response to a lot of children that needed parents to step in. So that's where you guys came from. It looks like it says you've helped over 50,000. I don't know what the date on this work is, but it looks pretty current. LSSI has helped over 50,000 people in communities all across Illinois. And that's, listen, 1 out of 252 in our state are served by LSSI. So that would tell you that in an average church, whatever, there's some family that's been impacted by that in every
Oh,
faith
yeah.
community, in every neighborhood. So when you go drive down the neighborhood, and I'm assuming, let me make an assumption that people would make that's poor probably. It's not always going to be the drug addict. It's not always going to be, you're going to have all kinds of issues where there can be an abusive parent or a neglectful parent
Yeah.
or a bad situation or a sudden death of a family. It's not always what we think.
And,
right?
and drug addiction doesn't always define a person either. People
Right.
will use drugs, maybe get off the path, maybe get back on it. Maybe people will use drugs and their kids stay in their homes and no one ever knows.
Right.
It's
Some-
very dynamic.
There's people that are more functional, not functional. You're right.
You know, there is one of the issues that often happens is domestic violence.
And that can happen to any household.
It can happen in any household, and also.
I'm not saying she's hit me this week. I'm just saying. I'm aware.
Should I call?
No.
She did hit you today.
Donna saw it.
Witnesses.
Okay, listen, I want to declare this. I knew I was going to get a punch to the shoulder in here because I said something that deserved it, but I knew it was coming. Years of experience with this.
You
Rosemary.
preempted it.
So before I said, "Oh," and she says, and then she hit me and she said, "Why didn't he hit you before you owed?" I just wanted Donna paying attention when you got that. You got that.
I got you.
I got that.
Yeah.
Baby, roll the cameras.
But one of the things is that the child ends up being separated from both parents because
both.
you know
Because you got to
let's-
sort it out.
Yes, and then all of a sudden it's a situation that child is kind of gets the brunt of everything that
Right.
happened, but maybe there is a viable parent in that situation, but they are in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it is very complex. It's not as simple as, oh, those people were not able to
Right.
take care of their children. There's a lot of layers that come into a family being involved with DCFS.
That's right.
And I think taking a step back and leaving the
Prejudice and
the
what you think.
prejudice
Yeah.
and the biases, it is very important. It is important for when they are training for licensing families, like the example she was saying about, oh, in this house we don't do this. if we just knew how much separation you're putting between you and a child
Before
by
you start-
saying
before you
that,
start.
before you start, because then you are already saying you don't belong in
It
this
doesn't
house,
mean
so
you
don't
couldn't
know.
get there, but it might take you a couple years to get there like you did your children. You're going to emulate that. You're going to need
Yeah.
to walk through that. They're going to need to see the value of that. They're going to
Yeah.
need time to understand, well, that's a good thing or not a
Right.
bad thing. And frankly, some of it's just going to be, I mean, they're not prepared to handle it. I mean, the world would, I mean, if you've been pulled out of a home and you've had to go through this kind of process as a child, you could just almost be out of your own senses for a period of time. You could, the trust factor has got to be just low.
I mean, I can't imagine. It'd be like
Terrifying.
being dropped into another country suddenly.
Yeah,
Right.
and that doesn't matter how
Terrifying.
loving the person
Yeah.
is. Are they faking? Are they fixing to take advantage of me? What's up with this? You know, because we're talking about kids that have gotten street smarts. You know, what I'm saying.
Well, that's
So-
where some of the pushing boundaries comes from, is because I think they're trying to find out, like, say, if they've come from a violent home, for instance, they're trying to find out, am I in another violent home?
Yeah.
So if I push this button,
Let me check
what
this. Does
comes
this
next?
trap go off? Do I get whacked?
Yes,
You
like
know, right.
they don't know what's happening yet.
So you're the largest private carrier in 42 counties, serving last year 2,645 children in foster care, with 465 children achieving permanency. What is this concept of permanency?
So that means that they were either reunited with their birth family, so their parents completed services and their cases were closed and they ended up back with their original family, or if the case went differently, they became adopted by a foster
If you have 465 of permanency, that's 20% of that. That means 80% move on to year two of some sort like that, or at least that many 20% come out. And when you look at the number of total people with that, man, that means there's a growing demand, not a lessening demand.
Yes.
You're not getting out each year as many as you're getting in, so you're
Right.
losing ground.
It feels like it.
Yeah, you know,
I think that people are becoming more socially conscious and trying to protect children in a way that we didn't.
I agree
There
with
are
that.
things that happened
Yeah.
10, 20, 30 years ago that were handled much differently. And it's, that's a
Yeah.
family matter. We're not getting involved there.
That's true.
And now it's still stigmatized to a degree, and it's not so much seen as we're going to support this family to get to where they need to go. It's like, oh, they're in trouble. So we have room and ground to cover still.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a growing need, and
Yeah.
kids do need help. There's also just more people. I mean, population's growing everywhere. There's twice as many people as there were 50 years ago.
Right.
We were raising one of our kids, or I'll say our oldest, and this was our first time. This is my first time dealing with a teenager, you know. So I'm gonna declare my worst DCFS moment. Okay, can I do that? Can I declare this?
Statute of limitations. I don't know if you see something, say something.
I'm past it because
Yeah,
she's
40 now.
She's 40
Okay,
now.
all right, all right. Let her rip.
She'll be the one making the decision when they unhook me, so she'll get even. So we were one day, and she said, "Well, I'm going to call somebody," and I went over and I got I'm a mandated reporter. I got the number, put it up on the refrigerator, and said, "Here's the DCFS hotline. You call anytime you want, but when you call them, see if they're handling your college and your car payments." And then, but feel free to do that. You know, she never did call, and all things are good. We worked that out. But that was probably
I
my
don't
worst
think
moment.
That was really one of our kids that did that. I think it was somebody else.
Well, it might have been, but I had the DCFS hotline number
Good
up
story,
on my
though.
refrigerator for about for the rest of my kids.
Wow.
Anytime you guys need. So, but I do think people are more aware today that they need to be involved, they need to be
Yeah.
reported, they need to communicate, or even people I think tend to interact. Well, you can't treat a child like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
There's a
I
little
tell
more
my
of a-
kids, if you see something, say something.
Say something.
It's important.
And as let me declare other things. As a pastor, I get this relatively regularly. I did camp circuits. I'm too old for that now, but we used to do camp circuits. I used to do a lot of preaching at the different camps across the state. And when I was in my first 10, 15 years, and now I even haven't. I had somebody come in office a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and there was this accusation that so and so, and so I know the girl that did it, and I brought Donna. Did you come in on that, or Sherry Park? Sherry did. We have a
that was
counselor in the
Sherry.
church, and Beth was gone, and I asked one of our counselors, "Would you step in? I need to ask this." And then before I ask you this, I need to know everything you tell me now is going to be safe. We're going to take care of you, all this. But if you're just playing or messing around, I need you to take that serious too, because you're safe here, and I'm going to have to respond to this. So I asked the question. It was said that this happened to you. Did this happen? Oh no, I absolutely made that up. So I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave the room and let you talk to Sherry." So we got through it all, and it was it wasn't real, and I'm convinced of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've often stopped people for a second and said, "Now, what you're saying is, I need to tell you, we're going to have a real conversation, and we're going to get somebody else in here." I typically bring a staff person in. because you'd be in ministry situation at camp, and somebody say, "Well, I was touched by so and so." So just hold one second, and then I'd get another counselor to come over with me and say, "I want you to share this now. We both want to hear this, so we can honor this together." And so I've done that my whole entire ministry practice. So, but I found some are just cries for attention, and some are really, really problems. We've had more problems than fakes by far. Really, really an issue.
Because it's not fun.
No.
It's
It's
not a
not
fun
fun.
or interesting issue.
Yeah.
And
even the one girl that was getting attention was in a very, very bad home.
Exactly.
Yes.
So she was using it, but that wasn't the situation. So
Right.
when I said, if this is true, let's do this. If it's not, let's make sure. And she said, well, it's not true. I was just bragging to my friends and I thought it was cool, And so we kind of worked through that. But you got to today we take this more serious.
And it's better to err on the side of
I
caution, these
agree.
kinds
I
of
agree.
things.
And if not, it's a learning experience for a young person to realize I will be listened to. And if they know they would be listened to, maybe they wouldn't do that.
Sure.
Some of that's because this child wasn't listened to at their home anyway. And so it's probably a situation waiting to happen. So do you get situations where you get involved, you get in the conversation, you find out, well, this is really not what we thought it was. So sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's worse than you think it's bad. Is it ever just, a relatively, not simple fix, but nothing simple, but
By the time it gets to us, it's bad.
by the time it gets to you, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all are like the superheroes.
Well,
Yeah.
if there's a hotline call, they're not all accepted.
Right.
Like people
really?
can call the hotline and someone records it, but they're not all investigated, I guess.
So there's
by
a criteria,
DCFS.
there's some sort of a checklist or something they look at.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
They take the report. It's either founded or unfounded. Founded reports warrant an investigation. Sometimes there's an emergency situation where they send someone out right away, but a lot of reports are considered unfounded, and there's not much more engagement other than just the record that we've had in unfounded. Then maybe you get another call and you've got another
Right.
unfounded. Then you start
Then
to
it
have
starts getting
yeah.
found.
But it's
Yeah.
important to record the data and to make the calls whenever you see a problem.
Well, let me tie up this because these guys are dealing with this is last year in the office, Marion office. So you're covered. Marion's covering what area, what region does the Marion office cover?
Oh, I'm
like I
so
said, the
bad with
farthest north
areas.
I've gone is Salem.
So that's
But
for this
I don't
office.
know.
So a
Yeah.
large part is Southern Illinois.
We I know that I've got a team member that goes up to Salem, and I go as far south as
so that's
Sarah.
and it says 525 children. That's a lot of children.
Yep.
That's 20% of the issues of foster kids in the state last year were down here.
Troy, do you have the LSSI mission statement over there? Is that something you're providing?
Yeah, I
with?
do. It says that. I think it's up on this. Is it a Lutheran social service? Our primary goal for children in foster care is to help them. Is that it?
I've got
Find their forever home either by reunification with birth families.
the mission statement for LSSI is responding to the gospel. LSSI brings healing, justice, and wholeness to people and communities.
That's very good. State that again, please.
Responding to the gospel, LSSI brings healing, justice, and wholeness to people and communities.
That's fantastic.
That's good.
That's
Yeah, and-
really well stated.
I think of that as I'm going through my day, as I'm interacting with the kids and with the parents and with my coworkers, of treating people in those ways.
It's a restoration ministry.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can get them restored to the natural family, or at least to an extended family. But sometimes it's a new family. Do you find, are you able to get them back in family more than going to another household? Is it mixed? Is it a blend?
I feel like it's a mixture. I don't know exactly the numbers. I mean, you worked there.
Yeah, I don't know exact numbers as well, because now in the past, I would say in the past maybe almost 10 years, there's been great emphasis on fictive kin, what they call fictive kin, or placing with relatives. So there are, there have been more chances for the child to at least be kept in the family unit. Well, might not have been the parents, but there are a lot of grandparents now involved in taking care of
That's really
the
good.
children.
Yeah.
Which, at least, in some ways keeps the child identity,
Yes.
personal identity intact, and they still can have a relationship with the birth parents at some point. It would be interesting to know
The percentage.
the percentage
It would be.
of kids that are adopted by traditional or that they achieve permanency with relatives.
Which I'm sure we can find somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll work on
I
that.
just don't have it.
We'll work on maybe in between episodes. Let me do this. I want to show one of the videos and then we'll do kind of a wrap up on the segment. Then we'll come back. And in the next episode, you don't want to miss this because we're going to kind of dig in a little bit. I've got a good question to start off with Rosemary because she's got good education. So she's going to help us. She's going to counsel all of us. She's going to take care of us. Yeah, she's going to evaluate me. I'm in trouble. Yeah, I'm going to have
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. I'm going to show a video from y'all's site. If people want to go out there and find your stuff, go to lsi.org/foster care. You can use the QR code there. You can email and get information. There's just some great stuff there. How to become a foster parent. There's lots of different ways to be a parent in that situation. That will go through it. They can get involved with you. There's some videos there. I want to show one of the videos that they put on that page, and it's the video called "Why Become a Foster Parent." And it's and everybody out there that's listening, maybe this is for you, maybe it's not. We're going to talk in the next episode. They have everything from respite care workers to kind of help you. You could help the foster system without being a permanent foster parent. You could give support to other foster parents. You could give relief. You could help plan events for families. There's other things we're going to talk about in the next episode. How people can meet the need.
Exactly.
At maybe
Yes,
their
that's
level
perfect.
of need. Also, how they can donate, how you can donate things and supplies. They're doing a drive right now. It's this broadcast maybe is after school starts, but we found out that kids can be placed anytime and be in a new school. So they're always looking for donations of hygiene products and shoes and back to school items and bed sheets, twin ones specifically, tablets to help foster parents with their online training. So computer tablets and other tech savvy volunteers to help parents set stuff like that up. And also, you mentioned Zachary, Christmas presents when you get in the Christmas season. So they could reach out to the Marion office or one of the local offices and kind of
Yes.
see how they could get that to you. So
Sponsors,
please do that. We're going to talk about more ways in which you can evolve, but I want to show this one video. We'll come back and do a little wrap up on the spotlight, and I'll let Hannah or one of these guys kind of give us a summary of how that you can get started. And then we're going to get deeper and we're going to find out some issues of what's going on with these parents. What are the top things you see? What are the top challenges you see and how that's changed? I think we can learn a lot. So check out this video real quick. She's going to bring up the audio, Don is, and this is a short little video on, I thought this guy was great. I watched this video and he was a product of it and he got to help other people. And I think it's how you can really help somebody. Think about this. And if this is right for you, reach out to them through the portal that we showed you. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Ron Gull. I'm a foster parent for LSSI. I became a foster parent in 2008 because I made the decision I wanted to give back and take care of children, and I thought foster care would be the best way to go. What inspired me to become a foster parent was for the simple fact that I used to be a foster child myself. LSSI helped me in the process by holding my hand throughout this whole journey and never letting go. They're always calling and checking on me and visiting, and always making sure my needs are well taken care of, as well as the children's needs. LSSI has proven that over and over and over and over again. High school is a major struggle for my kids, and I think just them graduating from high school was a big accomplishment. It was just a proud moment because I'll never forget that because I didn't think at some point they would never make it through high school. When graduation came for my boys, I just emotionally lost it because I knew just from their family history, or biological history, they had a lot of disappointments in their biological family, and I didn't want them to be a part of it. I want them to be above that. To show them you can graduate, you have some challenges, but you can rise above it. So whenever I think about that, I get emotionally full because, and these are just tears of happiness, not sadness. I'm happy because that lets me know I'm doing something right. What would the outcome have been had they been with someone else? LSI was always there through my good days and my bad days. They were there. They've always been there. My son, he told me one time, my oldest son, he said, I probably would never have graduated had I stayed at the last foster home because she didn't like me. She was always putting me out. This is real. I'm committed to this. This is not a joke. You cannot put a price on a child's life or child's future. You cannot. And if you could, it's not enough. My oldest son graduated 6 months early. My second son graduated 6 months early. They're both in college, pursuing their life. Now I have 3 more. I have to get to that step. So there'll be more tears for that, I'm sure. Look at my story. Look at my story and listen to my story. And that should be enough right there.
That's very good. I was just calculating here. I was running the stats. I got econ finance early degree, bachelor's. I run the stats on this, and it says here in the notes there's 19,000 children currently in foster care in our state. And if just this last year, you got LSSI suffering 2,645 of those. That's just this last year. With 500 coming back out, that means you're 2,100. And you've got other kids that are still in there. You guys are doing a significant portion of the children in the state of Illinois are coming through the LSSI.
In the Marion office.
It sure feels like
No,
it.
in the whole state, it says 19,000.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So, but just in the state, you've got 2,600 last year. That's a significant number. And I mean, that's last year. So in your system would be much greater than that. Because if you only had 20% or 20% recovered, that means 80%. If you're keeping 80% a year, significant number of the 19,000 are through your organization.
Do those numbers include Chicago?
Yeah, they would.
They do. They do. So it's a very significant.
density of the population. I mean, that means we have an incredible need downstate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot higher. I think a lot of people think that's a Chicago issue,
per
but
capita,
I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing per capita. We're a lot less dense here. We have. So you need foster parents here.
Yes.
So you need foster parents here.
do.
We want to encourage you. Don't make a rash decision. They won't let you make a rash decision either. They're going to put you
No.
through the process. But go check it out. And certainly if you got one thing I didn't know, if you got a family that's struggling, that's in, you can also be willing to step up and help in your own family. So do that as well. So check it out. Go to their site lsi.org/foster care. Look into that. Email fosterachild@lssi.org. And we're going to come back. Hannah, give me a summary. What is the heart of foster a child? One more time.
The heart of foster a child, I would say it's the people who are willing to open their homes to these children. And that is the most important thing about the home, is how open, compassionate, and patient you can be.
And patient is a key word. Open,
Yes.
compassionate, patient. It's just going to take some time. I like the guy that we just saw in the video. You could tell he had been through his own things, and he just knew that it takes time. Be patient and breathe. And maybe sometimes things are quick, you can get it over with, but this is not that kind of decision.
No.
This is a take your time, but there's great rewards. You could just see from the compassion of that. Beth and I have got to be, we haven't raised other people's kids, but we certainly had enough of them live in our house over the years, interns and stuff. And we get to see them really change. We've seen some of the ones that are almost like children to us. It takes time though, and just be patient. If this is for you, Hannah, what's the best way for them to start? Just if they want to take first step to being a foster parent, maybe being an we're going to talk about next program, emergency foster homes. What are some ways that they can move that direction? First step.
One of the first steps is just reaching out to that email, or you can even call if you can find your most local LSSI and call that number and just ask for someone in the licensing department.
And they can help you get on a list to be an emergency or short. I see you even have like short-term care. Maybe you're just a temporary facility while they're doing the placement. So,
Exactly.
So there's lots of levels to get in. Do people sometimes test some of those levels first and say we're going to start and be emergency people, or we're going to be a temporary house?
Sometimes people do that, but you still have to go through the entire licensing process.
Yeah.
So there's not like a shorter licensing process.
No, I understand that, but do sometimes people kind of test their feet on it and go,
Yeah, they're like, I'm not sure if I want to have a long-term commitment, and that makes sense. That's a really big decision. So you can definitely become licensed and then take children just for short-term while we're looking for other placement. And the thing about that is when we don't have a placement for a child immediately, they are in the office.
Oh, I saw that. I'm putting that out in the office. That means we're going to talk about that in the next episode, because I need to find out about how you stay in the office. I read that in this, that they get stuck with staffing in the office.
Yes.
And I want to know what that looks like, because does that mean that Zach has some under his desk? And I want to find out about that. I want to find out about that. Hey guys, it's been a pleasure to have you in this first episode. We're going to be back in part 2. So Hannah, thank you. Rosemary, Zach, thank you so much. We'll move things around in this next episode and get into part 2. And in part 2 of this episode, we're going to come back. Let me find my part 2. I got a part 2. I got a fancy part 2 thing.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I got it. Here it is. We'll be looking at the backstory, how Zach became Spider-Man. How Hannah became Wonder Woman, and Rosemary, I don't know, maybe the Green Lantern is.
Yeah, I was bit by a radioactive
because in my book, you are taking care of the least of these. The Bible says when you take care of the least of these, that makes you one of the greatest of these. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for being superheroes out there. A lot of people maybe not see that. Most people, when they think DCFS is at the door, they're like, it's like the IRS, they get a table. But you're coming in and rescuing the child at the most crisis moment, and at least giving them a pathway back to hope. So I think that's a biblical mandate. That's what we're talking about this here. Go to LSSI.org/foster care and check that out. Backstory, challenges. We're going to find out how they got their superpowers, and we're going to find out what next moves are and where we'd like to see things going, and learn a little bit about parenting and what's going on with children today in our next episode. Go to onthedoc.org. Find out more about our shows and other shows. We're in season 3. Go watch 1 and 2. You can binge watch us for all. Long time. Info@onthedoc.org. Emails for questions. We'll give show links in the description, how you can reach them in their offices. It'll all be there. Donna does magic under there. So watch for that and share it with other people. Share this with other people, because maybe they don't watch this, but maybe they'd be a good foster parent. Send it to them and say, watch it. Go check that out. YouTube and Spotify and iTunes. Spotify and iTunes is just audio. YouTube, it's video, full video. Also on YouTube Music, Facebook, Roku, Rumble. We got a good channel as well. SermonNet. And our archives are on YouTube and SermonNet. We'd love to hear your comments about this. Share this. Be nice. We're just trying to lift up a good work here. So hit Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, Getter, and Instagram, and we'd love to hear from you on that as well. Hit subscribe, like, notify, tell other people about it, and go to Patreon and be a partner or sponsor of the show. You can check that out. Go to Patreon and download and look up On the Dock with Pastor Troy. Finally, slnt.com. We're selling stuff for them this season. Faraday bags. How we got this, Zach, I'll tell you right now. We were on a closed set show. It was the first of the season. It was our first 6 shows. We were taping them in here. Closed set. This is a closed set now. We're going to beam it out to you in a minute. So we were doing a closed set shoot, and we talked about, everybody wants it and they want it now. And Colt, our other producer on the show, he goes, he starts singing that jingle. I want my money and I want it now. J.G. Wentworth,
Yeah.
I want my cash,
right?
And I want it now.
It's my, and I want it.
It's my money and I want it now. So we were singing that, and I had my phone like a good boy off in airplane mode. I just had airplane mode, but my wife, like the bad woman she is, she has her phone over here in vibrate mode so she can play around.
You need to get ready for a punch.
Yeah, the punch is coming. Keep the camera rolling. Yeah, and so at 2:00 in the morning, we get this. It's an email that comes in, and it's J.G. Wentworth. They wanted to know if we wanted our cash now.
Wow.
So we came into the studio the next.
Yeah, I do.
We were in the studio the next morning shooting again. The next morning, so we talked about it. Colt, you got us getting junk mail. And that J.G. Wentworth, I had forgotten to turn my phone on airplane mode. So 2:00 the next morning, I get J.G. Wentworth. And I said, you know what? In the middle of that conversation, I said, there's this product I see out there called Silent. It's like little Faraday bags that keep them from listening. And so the next day, I get an email from Silent. They said,
Oh my God.
We got your name and you stated our Faraday bag product. We saw your show. Would you like us to represent you? Would you like to represent us in your season so that others won't be listened to like you?
That's wild
I know,
and
isn't
scary.
They bought their name from us for saying it and just said, would you like to help people not get this information? How
That's
about that?
remarkable.
They were like,
Yeah.
Well,
check
I'm going to
this
get their
out.
ads next because my phone's right here.
JG Wentworth to you tonight. And Silent, hey, go to silent.com, promo code OTD. We make money off it. And it gets us a camera for over there for,
I'll check them out.
Hashtag, or go to silent.com /discount/OTD to get like 15% plus discounts and all kinds of shipping deals. Check that out. We'll run a commercial at the end of this show to tell you more about their products. And if you don't have a church home, you just want to wander into church someplace, try Community Faith Church. We host this show. You don't have to come here. Just go someplace where the word's being preached, but also where it's being lived in life. It'd be nice if we go out and be good human beings and help families and help widows, children, and orphans in any way we can. So go out and do that. 10 o'clock on Sundays, 6:30 on Wednesdays. Go to coftv.com. Check it out if you want. We'd love to have you. Mother Beth, you got anything else?
Nope.
Donna, you got anything else?
All good.
Hannah, Rosemary, Zach, you've been fantastic. We'll see you guys back in part 2. Thank you for joining us for this on the dock. Make sure you go back, watch our 2 parts on Restore. They're going to talk about this, and it's just they're all working together here. And just keep digging in with us, and don't miss part 4. The part 4 is going to be off the chains. We got like secret things that are going to jump out of this book. It's going to get you. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss it. So this is a great crew, and we'll be back soon. I'm Pastor Troy. So we go out, check out this promo from Silent. Get out there and buy something, and make sure J.G. Wentworth doesn't find you tonight.
There are more than 8 billion phones in the world, a fact that threatens your privacy, security, and health. With Silent Pocket Faraday protection, you can regain control over your mobile devices. We get it. Privacy and security are inconvenient topics, and you may feel like you have nothing to hide, but the fact is that in the modern world, your laptop is never really off. Your phone emits a signal, even in airplane mode. And everything from your passport to your credit cards contains RFID, and all of it contains valuable private information that is easily exploited in the wrong hands. Silent Pocket offers a range of products you already use: wallets, bags, travel gear, laptop sleeves, key cases. But with the added protection of our patented Faraday technology, which turns your devices invisible and safe from the outside world. Many industries, from top business professionals to government officials, require the use of Faraday products for the day-to-day security of them and their staff. They understand that we are constantly at risk and take the necessary steps to prevent future attacks. We offer this elite technology to anyone that values their personal data, and we are proud to offer a premium range that fits seamlessly into your everyday life, providing security without looking like a tinfoil hat. As we learn to live with technology, Silent Pocket stands on the 3 pillars of privacy, security, and health. Our goal is to provide harmony with mobile technology without risking our most valuable information. We hope you'll trust us to help you do the same.